Keanu Reeves walked through the sun-drenched streets of Brooklyn Heights, Buddy the pit bull trotting faithfully by his side, unaware that a simple afternoon walk would evolve into a life-or-death test of courage, compassion, and human responsibility. The city's heat pressed against them like a tangible force, yet the air carried subtle reminders of resilience. The laughter of children playing in the distance, the aroma of freshly baked bread from corner bakeries, the faint hum of history. Embedded in the streets where generations had struggled and persevered, each step a lesson in vigilance, empathy, and moral duty. As Keanu's mind raced through the recent chaos, the cruel kick from a biker, the desperate struggle to save Buddy from poisoned sausage, the tense confrontation at the cafe, and the eventual arrival of law enforcement that reminded him that justice, while often slow, could be achieved with patience, strategy, and courage. He reflected on the interconnectedness of life. How every action, from protecting a vulnerable being to standing up against injustice, echoed far beyond the immediate moment, teaching a timeless lesson that respect, kindness, and moral courage are universal languages understood across cultures and generations. And as Buddy's relieved tail wagged beside him, Keanu realized that true heroism lies not in fame or recognition, but in the quiet, steadfast commitment to protect, nurture, and act rightly even when the world offers fear, indifference, or cruelty. A lesson not only for life, but for anyone striving to learn English, to grasp both language and humanity, to understand that words, actions, and empathy are the tools we wield to create meaning, connection, and justice in an often unpredictable world. As Keanu guided Buddy toward the veterinary clinic, every step felt like a meditation on responsibility, patience, and the fragility of life. The bustling streets of Brooklyn Heights, once merely a backdrop for a film, now mirrored a broader lesson about vigilance and care in an unpredictable world, where even small acts, like carrying water for a thirsty dog, carry weighty consequences, and where courage is not measured in fame or strength, but in the choices we make under pressure. His mind wandered to historical examples of guardianship and ethical courage, from the city's founding days when citizens banded together to protect their communities, to more recent acts of quiet heroism where ordinary people stood against cruelty and injustice, teaching that empathy is timeless, a language transcending borders and eras, much like English itself, which connects humans across continents. He thought of the biker who had attacked Buddy, not with malice as an abstract concept, but as a tangible reminder of humanity's capacity for both harm and redemption, and he realized that standing up for what is right, even when the odds seem daunting, cultivates an inner strength and wisdom far beyond mere survival, imparting lessons on perseverance, ethical responsibility, and emotional resilience that resonate deeply with anyone learning English, reminding them that every word, every choice, every act of care is a bridge to understanding the world and the shared human experience. As the clinic's white facade came into view, Keanu's heartbeat steadied, a mix of hope and determination guiding him forward. For in that moment, he knew that protecting life, be it human or animal, was a testament to the timeless truth that courage, compassion, and moral action define the legacy we leave behind, far beyond screens, scripts, or fleeting recognition. Inside the veterinary clinic, the sterile white walls contrasted sharply with the chaos that had consumed the streets only moments before, yet within that quiet space, Keanu felt a profound sense of accountability settle over him, the kind that resonates across time and culture, echoing the lessons of history where guardianship of the vulnerable define the measure of a person. As Dr. Harper and her team worked swiftly around Buddy, administering fluids and antidotes, Keanu's thoughts drifted to the countless literary and historical figures who had faced moral crossroads, from Socrates in Athens teaching that virtue requires action, to modern-day humanitarian workers risking comfort and safety for the well-being of others, and he realized that these moments, whether grand or small, were universal lessons in empathy, courage, and ethical responsibility, mirroring the way language, particularly English as a tool for expression, connects knowledge, culture, and understanding across generations. He gently stroked Buddy's fur, feeling the rhythm of his heartbeat, and in that quiet intimacy understood that true courage is often silent, manifesting not in spectacle, but in the choice to act when help is needed, and that wisdom grows in moments where compassion is paired with decisive action, reinforcing the philosophical truth that protecting life is both a duty and a privilege. A principle as relevant on the bustling streets of Brooklyn Heights as it was in the annals of history, and a lesson English learners could carry as a metaphor for communication, empathy, and moral clarity in all areas of life. As the minutes stretched, Keanu reflected on how language, like action, must be precise, deliberate, and thoughtful, whether forming sentences or moral decisions, for both hold the power to influence, connect, and transform, shaping not just stories on screen, but the very fabric of human experience. As Buddy lay under careful observation, Keanu's mind wandered beyond the clinic walls, tracing the intricate tapestry of cause and consequence, a lesson as old as human history and as immediate as the beating of Buddy's heart. He thought of the ancient civilizations where loyalty, honor, and the protection of the innocent were pillars of societal stability, from the Code of Hammurabi, where justice was codified as a moral duty, to the chivalric values of medieval knights, where the defense of the weak was a measure of one's character, and he saw a mirror of those principles reflected in his own actions, walking through Brooklyn Heights not merely as an actor rehearsing lines, but as a guardian responding to real stakes, where each decision carried ethical weight. Simultaneously, he contemplated the universality of language, especially English, as both a bridge and a lens for understanding human experience. Recognizing that just as words convey nuance, history teaches that intentions, courage, and ethical choices ripple outward, influencing communities, shaping culture, and even guiding laws, reminding him that the responsibility of speech parallels the responsibility of action. Every word, like every gesture of protection toward Buddy, had the power to comfort, educate, or heal. Sitting in the waiting room, he observed fellow pet owners, their faces etched with concern and patience, and he felt a kinship that transcended background, language, or profession, a reminder that empathy is an instinctive, universal human capacity, cultivated through observation, listening, and deliberate engagement, and that even a single act of courage, like confronting injustice, shielding the vulnerable, or advocating for truth, can create ripples of understanding and influence that reach far beyond the immediate moment. In this quiet crucible of tension and hope, Keanu grasped that his journey with Buddy was not only a lesson in responsibility and courage, but a living illustration of the interweaving of history, morality, and language, where every action and word can serve as a teacher, connecting personal experience to the enduring wisdom of human civilization and offering a model for learners of English and life alike. That understanding, compassion, and deliberate action are the foundations of meaningful impact. By the time Keanu returned to the veterinary clinic the next morning, a serene quiet had settled over Brooklyn Heights, as though the city itself exhaled in relief. Buddy, now stable and alert, greeted him with a wagging tail and bright eyes that mirrored the resilience of spirit both fragile and fierce, and in that moment Keanu felt an unspoken bond that transcended the simplicity of human-animal companionship, a living testament to patience, courage, and the ethical imperative to act when injustice manifests, whether against a dog, a person, or a community. He reflected on the layered wisdom embedded in this experience, recalling historical parallels, from the steadfast defenders of truth in the courts of Renaissance Europe, to abolitionists who risked everything to shield the innocent, to the quiet resilience of ordinary citizens during wartime, whose vigilance and care preserved life and dignity. And he understood that such lessons remain relevant today, not as abstract ideals, but as actionable principles that guide decisions in personal, social, and even linguistic endeavors, including the careful articulation of ideas in English, where clarity, empathy, and intentionality shape understanding across cultures. As he carefully administered Buddy's prescribed medications and ensured the special diet was followed, Keanu recognized that the journey had been both literal and symbolic, a convergence of preparation, observation, and moral courage. demonstrating that awareness, swift action, and ethical consistency cultivate trust, resilience, and deeper human connection, essential qualities not only for survival but for meaningful participation in society. Reflecting further, he drew parallels to the process of learning a language, where commitment, patience, attention to detail, and the willingness to correct mistakes mirror the care and vigilance required to navigate life's unpredictable challenges, teaching that mastery is not merely accumulation of knowledge but application of principles in context, compassion in action, and courage under pressure. And as Buddy rested contentedly, Keanu sat back and allowed himself to feel the weight of gratitude, the relief of justice served, and the quiet affirmation that every conscious choice to protect, nurture, or teach, whether through language, action, or mentorship, reverberates far beyond the immediate moment, creating ripples of understanding, empathy, and moral clarity. Reminder that in both life and learning, the courage to act rightly, even in small ways, shapes character, community, and the broader arc of human experience, leaving a legacy not only of survival but of wisdom, integrity, and hope for those who come after.